Hello, I'm PDYX.
And I'm AntKeepsGaming, and welcome to Playing It Wrong, the show where we play random online Nintendo games and talk about them.
That's right, each episode we're going to take one random NES game and one random SNES game from the games available on the NSO service on the Nintendo Switch, and we're going to play them for at least 30 minutes each and talk about our opinions of those games.
Playing It Wrong, Episode 2.
So, it's Episode 2. We played two new games. Two new old games.
There's a reason why I keep laughing. Before Patrick says anything, when you know it's an old game, you know it's a hard game. That's the thing. That's why I laugh.
Gosh. Yeah, I think this week could be titled unofficial title of this is like extremely hard action platformer.
but even still, that though, I still found them more enjoyable than the last ones. 100%.
Oh, 100%. This was, yeah. So just to everyone that doesn't know, we should say we played Kid Icarus for our NES game and Demon's Crest for our Super Nintendo game. And I agree. The previous week was Super Tennis and Clu Clu Land, and both of those games were awful. And this week, both of these games were good. Way too hard, but good. You add the like save state and rewind feature of the app though into the equation, and these games are all right. You know what I mean?
100%. I found with Kid Icarus, just very quickly, it was more enjoyable because of that.
Yes, I agree. Like I think I said this when we picked these games at the end of the last episode. But Kid Icarus, like I've played a little bit at a friend's house growing up. I didn't own it, but I like have memories of playing it. And coming to it, man, I was like, man, this game is just so hard. Like I don't remember it being this hard because that was just the standard, I guess, you know? But yeah, I really liked it. Being able to, I know you mentioned last time that you used the rewind feature for one of the games, and I kind of forgot about that when we were playing the other two games last week. Yeah. But they weren't as suited to it, you know?
No, absolutely not.
But these games were much more suited to it, where you could like, you know, save a moment, like you get past a really hard spot and you're like, I'm going to make a save spot there, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you can do both. You can save state and rewind.
Rewind.
Yeah.
I'm interested in that because I primarily find that the save state works for me. I think it's just like I got into the habit of doing that, you know, and not the habit of rewinding. But like I think rewinding would be useful in some situations. Yeah,
like it's the same with me when I played. I actually played Sonic for the original, not the original Xbox. What's the original? For the 360, I downloaded that from the Microsoft Store. And as you know, Sonic hasn't got save states, but you can save every 5 minutes and load every 5 minutes, which is handy.
Right.
But yeah, definitely with these sort of games, they become enjoyable because you've got the feature of saving it and rewinding it. But again, as I said before, the problem with it, if you got to press it to get the menu, press the two trigger buttons to get the menu up, to save it or load or reset. But then that's to press it. But when you hold it, that's when it comes to the rewind feature. So you press it to get the save feature, and you press them both, hold them to get the rewind feature. It's really,
a little awkward.
Yeah, because like
maybe that's
why
I don't use rewind. Yeah. Well, let's talk more about Kid Icarus. First, you don't see a lot of vertical platformers anymore. I feel like the NES era had a lot of them, and this is one of them where you're going up and up and up. I like that about it. It's got the sort of like the left of the screen goes to the right of the screen element too.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
Yeah, but I did not like how, and this took me a few deaths to like really hammer it home that like you can't fall back down once you're up. Like that's you know what I mean? When I'm trying to say, as you climb up, you can't go back down to what's below you on the screen anymore, and it's just death if there's a hole now.
Yeah,
and it's
just
like
the void.
That feels really weird as a modern gamer. You know what I mean? Like,
well, yeah. I mean, you've got to dodge enemies. You've got to do platforming. You can go from one side of the screen to exit the other side of the screen, but also you can't go down as well.
Yeah.
So you've got to take all those things into consideration.
I think the other thing that jumped out to me about this game, like I really liked it, and it was, I don't know how far I got, not like super far, but I definitely passed, I don't know, 4 or 5 levels or whatever. But like the enemy spawning is brutal in this game.
It definitely is, yeah.
You can't slow down. Right? Like I found that anytime I like tried to stop and just kind of like catch my breath, the enemies just keep spawning from where they spawned, and like the spawn points are kind of like set. You know what I mean? And they just keep coming.
Yeah, I mean, there was like one part of it where it was like moving platforms, and also you got enemies moving as well. And sometimes you jump on the moving platform that will lead you into the moving enemies that will go actually that way.
Right. Yeah, there's some really tricky parts due to the way they just, like, you're like, oh, I'll wait for them to stop spawning, but that's never a good strategy in this game. Yeah. Like, you just have to figure it out.
I knew with the Ghost Grim Reaper as well, it's like a one shot. If he sees you, it's a one shot kill as well. I didn't know if you knew that.
Yeah, you can't kill the Grim Reapers either.
You
right?
can actually.
Oh, I sat there and arrowed them and was like, I guess maybe you just can't kill them. How did you kill them?
I just kept shooting.
Oh, really? Eventually enough arrows killed them? Okay.
Yeah.
I gave up way soon. I was like, I guess I have to just dodge these guys. I guess you don't have to. I felt like this was a little easier to play without the manual too. Though I wish I had. I never bothered to look up the manual. It's just not convenient. And I just feel like I'm going to be able to do it. But like, I never knew what any of the items were doing in this game.
That's where I struggled as well. You get like hearts from the enemies, but the hearts from the enemies don't recover your life, which you'd think they would.
That's a really weird old game thing too. I feel like there are other games like Castlevania and stuff. Hearts aren't, hearts didn't always used to mean health. Now there's no way somebody would make a game where a heart didn't mean health.
Yeah.
But like older games, sometimes they didn't. Like the hearts were just like,
they were currency. Yeah, currency.
Yeah, they're currency. And like, I never quite understood what the mallets did.
No.
You know what I mean?
Well, when I first got to the first, I'd say, shop, there was like all these different items. There was like a feather and I think a hammer. I'm not 100% sure. And if you guys want to see my playthrough of it, it's on my channel. Both of them should be uploaded by now, if not after this episode. I just was like, well, I don't know what these do. I'm just going to go for the health. I'm assuming that's health. I needed health more than anything else.
Yeah, so. You desperately need health in this game. Because, like, there is the chalices, the, like, cups are the health, but they're, like, very few and far between.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like, when I first got the heart, I thought, why is this not recovering my health? Hearts mean health. I need to be recovered. And it didn't recover at all.
So, like, we should have followed our own advice and looked up the manual, because I looked it up just like a little bit ago, and it's like, oh, it would be nice to have known some of this stuff.
Oh god, go on.
About these,
we should just leave that.
About what the items do.
Yeah, we should not read yet a manual until after, so you can that'd be good.
The items, though, like, did you also find this experience? Like, you go into the first shop and every item is, like, ridiculously expensive.
Yes, I couldn't buy any health, anything.
How in the world would I have that many hearts?
Exactly.
Unless I just sat here and farmed snake guys or whatever.
I think that's the only way to do it. I think I had 240 hearts, and that was like 300 and something hearts. I was like, yeah, I have got not that amount to even recover my health.
Well, I think, those little optional rooms with the, like, I don't know what kind of enemy they were called, but like the big kind of, there's optional rooms you can go in where there's some sort of enemy that's seemingly, at least as far as I got, only in those rooms, and they all give you the big hearts, which I think are worth like 10. So I think if you go in all those rooms, and I just stopped going in those because they're really hard. I just die, and it's like, I'm just save scumming my way through this game. I'm not trying to.
Yeah. Well, I didn't. Oh, I thought you'd get something else like going in those rooms, because
Give me a health.
Yeah, because I took out all those enemies, and then there's this like random block that's different color to everything else. You said, oh, okay, something spawns up there. Nothing ever did. So.
Yeah, I don't know if there was anything to that. I agree.
Yeah.
Once again, we should probably look up some of these things, but I also think that's the true experience of playing these games. You don't it's not hard to find the manuals. They're easily found online, but it's not convenient when you're, if they're not in the app.
Just go back to Patrick being 3 years old. Would you look at the manual? Would you really?
Well, in that era, you would. Like, I remember, I don't know about you, but like when I was getting games as a kid, like first thing you do is you thumb through that manual. But like that kind of changed it. I don't know, like PlayStation-ish era, maybe. I don't know, PS2 maybe.
Well, I even mentioned on your podcast once. They said about like they got manual holders in game cases, but they don't have a manual.
Right. We still have a place for them, but not. Yeah.
That's weird.
Well, is there anything else about specific to Kid Icarus that you wanted to talk about, or anything we didn't mention there? I think we covered a lot of it for me. I recommend playing Kid Icarus. I thought it holds up with the save state ability, with the ability to save wherever you want.
I found this, I found, as said, like last week, Super Tennis and Clue Clue Land. I didn't use it on Super Tennis. I only remembered when I played Clue Clue Land.
But I don't know how would you use it on tennis?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like every time was me just whiffing. You know what I mean? So I don't think there's a way to fix that.
But as you said, like these ones were more fun because of the save states and the rewind feature and stuff. And regardless, and I think that's the topic you should talk about in the podcast: is save states cheating or checkpoints cheated or not in old games? That's something I would like to listen to, actually, for you guys' opinion. Yeah, I'll tell you what's funny. My when starting this series, what I do is I stream this on my Twitch, but then I cut the episodes out and then upload them to YouTube. If you guys don't know, so just getting new reactions to some of my audience, because you're a bit younger than me, and it's like one person said like, "Oh, this is Kid Icarus. This is the game Pitt's from," and somebody turned around and said, "That's Pitt." Yeah, he looks kind of different.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's the graphics have been a little bit upgraded.
And but yeah, no, everyone loves it, and they said it's actually quite interesting. Like they did want to play niche games, and it's actually been received quite well on my channel. I said two random games, and they're like, "Oh yeah, cool! I can't wait to see what you're doing next and stuff." So
nice.
If you want a first-hand preview, Twitch, but if you can't be bothered with Twitch, just check YouTube.
Yeah, but everybody check out YouTube for sure.
I think it's
with these games.
Like it's good to. Not only myself going through these games for the first time, but seeing my viewers who are younger going through these games for the first time.
Yeah.
And they're just like trashing the game in the chat.
That's funny. Well, let's talk about the other one, which is Demon's Crest. Demon's Crest is a Capcom Super Nintendo game. And, to the extent that Kid Icarus was hard, and it is and was, Demon's Crest is harder.
It is definitely the hardest out of the two.
Painfully hard. Like,
yes.
The first level was like, okay, like I beat it again using save states, and I was like, you know what, this is pretty fun. And it makes, like, I want to talk about the movement of the character, because to me that's a big part of what's interesting about this game. But like the just sheer enemies and like how hard they are to kill, and they're maneuvering around you, like especially on level 2 and beyond. Like, yeah, it's hard.
Well, especially like I've got my term I use when I'm playing like Halo. When I play Halo, it gets a certain bit, and you can't move on until you kill all enemies or move further past a certain point. It's called infinite respawn. These enemies infinite respawn. You can keep killing them for days, and they'll just keep coming back.
Yeah, Kid Icarus had the same thing too. Well, Demon's Crest, I guess we should say, is like it's like a Capcom game. It's a Ghosts and Goblins game. Like it's a spin-off. It's a spin-off of that series, which I think those games are notoriously very difficult to.
Oh, I didn't know it was a spin-off. I did not know that.
Yeah, I think it's like the character is like a character in Ghosts and Goblins as well.
Interesting.
There were a couple things I wanted to make sure we talked about here, because what I found interesting about this, aside from the just ridiculous difficulty, which made me feel like I don't want to come back and beat this game, whereas with Kid Icarus is like, I could see this through just to beat this game.
Yeah.
But Demon's Crest was like, oh my God. Part of that is the movement. I think the character moves really interestingly, especially for the time. I mean, it was mid 90s, but there was wall jumping.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of mechanics in this game for its time.
Exactly. That's how I felt too. Like, but not quite enough. Like, you can't duck.
Yes.
I think if you just added duck, that game would be a lot better, because there's so many enemies that are like floating and flying at you, and you get into kind of a corner and you're like, well, I can't duck. You know what I mean? I just have to take the hit or whatever. Like, at least that happened to me.
I think on this one, I used so many, not save states. I used the rewind feature so many times, more than any game so far. I'm actually gonna have a champion of what game I've used most rewind feature or save states, and at the moment, Demon Crest has took it.
I would agree. I would 100% agree.
Because I got to one part, I don't know how far you got, but I got to the part with the insect. I don't know if you got that far.
Which, like the boss? Or
so it was a boss, like an insect. And so it will fly around up and down and then spin around as well. Any part of the body, you can jump on it, but only slight little bits. But if you touch it a little bit wrong, you're dead. And then to make matters worse, it will then fling its arms like a boomerang. So not only have you got to dodge this flying massive insect thing, you've got to dodge its arms that have now been thrown at you like a boomerang too.
I stopped at a boss because that's where it just got so hard. And probably I could have looked up, a walkthrough or maybe the manual even. But one of the things that also kind of tripped me up about this game, in that I think is a little bit strange too, is you beat the first level or whatever, and then you're like in sort of an open world almost, like you're flying around as the character on like an old 16-bit world map, but like there's not very much explanation of where you should go.
Yeah, that took me by surprise actually. I thought it was just do one area, move on to the next, same. But when I zoomed out onto a map, I was like, what's going on? What's happening? It was actually and that's like going back to what we said about so many mechanics in the game. There's like wall jumping, all this in the game, but then having like a map view of where you can go, and you can go basically anywhere. So, which is cool.
Yeah, but dangerous, because the first time I was like, ooh, it's fun to fly around on the map. And then it's like, I don't know where I am anymore. And so I'll just go here. And then it was like just brutal, like I was like, okay, that can't be the second level. Like, so then I was like, let me go back and see where I'm pointed and just go to the next area. And it's like, ooh, I could actually play this level. You know what I mean? Like, man, I don't think I could beat this game or have the patience to even just have the patience to save scum through it.
Yeah. Well, let's rewind quickly. Like, I want to go back to the start as well. That very first boss. I mean, you start in a boss fight right off the bat.
Yeah.
Like, what is this game?
Yeah, it was weird. The intro, like, I was like, is this what I'm doing? I'm fighting this thing that's chasing me? Yeah.
Well, first of all, I thought I had to run, so I just bolted right to the end of the scene, I'd say. Uh-huh. And then there's like a wall, and I thought, okay, I got to blast the wall before he gets out. Didn't happen. He killed me. I'm like, well, what the hell am I supposed to do with this then? I'm not quite sure what to do. And then but I know you got to shoot fireballs at his head. I finally figured it out. But you got to kind of, when he bends down to shoot you, you then have to jump and use a fireball at his head at a precise moment. But if you're not precise enough, he can still hit you with a fireball or his head. So you have to be spot on with that.
Yeah. There's a lot of like precision to this that's painful. Yeah. But the like jumping and flying mechanics and wall jump mechanics are pretty cool. And I think if the character just felt a little bit lighter and a little more maneuverable, it would have been a lot easier too. Like you just feel so heavy and like without being able to duck, like you can't dodge anything.
I completely agree with that. Yeah, you can't, especially with the bosses. Like, the game is hard in itself, but when you get to the bosses, it just takes it up to another level.
Yeah, did you play the fire boss? Like, I don't even know.
It must have been like the second boss. Maybe?
Yes, that's where I stopped, is the second boss.
Griffin,
like,
he was hard too.
Could not figure out how to even damage it, or I couldn't tell if I was damaging them.
I literally was just firing like fireballs at him constantly.
But it's like, usually when you fire fireballs at an enemy in this game or any game, there's sort of a flash or something, but the character was made of fire. So it's like, am I even doing anything? Am I just meant to dodge here and survive this? Which doesn't seem right, but I just was like, I don't think I can do this one more time.
I tell you what, though, when I come across that boss first, I was so cocky. Because like he was missing me with all these, shots at first. I was like, "Oh, look at this guy! Oh, I'm dodging all of it." And then, because I was like, I found a way to get underneath him, and like if you get underneath him and walk a little bit, he'll just like shoot down, but then completely miss you. But then I got too cocky, and it's like, yeah, he's destroying me now.
Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else specific to Demon's Crest we haven't talked about that you wanted to mention? I mean,
I think the power ups. They said like once you beat a boss, you get this power up, but I didn't feel like I had a power up. To be quite honest,
yeah,
or choose it. I've pressed all buttons, and obviously I don't look at the menu.
Like the stuff up in the top part of the screen. You mean like the little like I don't even know crest looking things that you have. Yeah, I didn't really figure out how to use that. Once again, I really should look at the menu because or the manual. I am looking at it now. It's like press start button to use an item. Oh, okay, that would be nice to know.
Okay, I mean I found out with Kid Icarus, going back to Kid Icarus, I actually found out. Kid Icarus, I think you can use items, but I wasn't 100% sure because I was so angry. I was just wanted to rewind the game.
Yeah. And when you have the ability to save scum, sometimes it's just easier to just like dodge and survive than like play the game how it was meant to be played.
Yeah.
But I think of these two games, I would recommend Kid Icarus more, even though it doesn't look like Demon's Crest looks a lot better and like has cool movement and that kind of open world, but I feel like Kid Icarus was a little more satisfying to play and a little less difficult with the save states feature.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you compare both games, it's mechanics versus kind of like I'm trying to think of one for Kid Icarus. I was going to say mechanics versus a lot going on. That's the only thing I could think.
Yeah. Demon's Crest just feels unfair.
Yes, it's unforgiving.
I mean, Kid Icarus felt unfair at times too, but like Demon's Crest just felt like constantly unfair. Like,
I think it's more for the hardcore player because I think I've mentioned to the guys in the stream and on my video. I think I said that if there was a first one, I think you have to play the first one to fully experience this one. If there was a first one, I'm not 100% sure.
I know. I think you're right. This apparently is the like third of the Gargoyles Quest games, which I think they were maybe on the Game Boy. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, it's like, and I don't know, like the whole, it's like a spin-off of Ghosts and Goblins, and those games were always just like brutal, and I never was good enough to play those games. I never owned any of them, which
I was going to say, I can imagine them both back in the day. I know they're not, or it could be. I don't actually know, but you've got like the kid-friendly Kid Icarus, and then you've got the 18-rated game, which is Demon's Crest.
Right? Yeah, the name and everything. Like, yeah, it's definitely
it's like a joyful game. I actually just realised we've got one game that has like an angel in it, and one that has a demon.
Oh, that's true. I didn't put that together either. That's funny.
I just put it together just now. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, we did play both ends of the spectral spectrum there.
Yeah. We like the good side, guys. We like the good side.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I think that covers everything I wanted to say about those games. Anything else, either on either or collectively before we pick our next ones?
Well, the champion of rewind and save states goes to Demon's Crest at the moment. Can any other game knock it off the top spot?
We will find out. You ready for me to run our randomizer, Ant?
Yeah, here we go. Please,
all right, I'm doing it, and this is a good one.
I hope so.
Check
good
this
in
out.
Good or good as in bad?
This is good. I think. I mean, all right. Our NES game is Metroid.
Oh, people want me to play that. They want me to play the original.
And our SNES game is Kirby's Dream Land 3.
I've never played a Kirby game, so that's even better.
Yeah, so I've never played Kirby's Dream Land 3, and Metroid is the same situation as Kid Icarus. Same friend even. I remember playing it at his house. I've played some Super Metroid, but not as much actual Metroid, except at friends' houses. So, Cool. I'm excited about these two.
Yeah, I've got some people. They said, "Oh, when are you going to play Super Metroid?" I said, all I said was, "You got to see what the randomizer says." That's what I said.
Yeah, maybe next week after we play, or the week after we play these, that'd be funny if we got Super Metroid.
Yeah. So what was this? Just Metroid, not Super Metroid.
Yeah, this is the NES Metroid, the original Metroid, and then Kirby's Dream Land 3 on the SNES. So
yeah, or like just a Metroid game and a Kirby game again.
Basically. Awesome. I think that's it for this second episode. Yeah, we'll be back after we've played those two. Thanks for listening to Playing It Wrong. This podcast is a collaboration between Super Switch Heads and AntKeepsGaming. Check out the weekly Super Switch Heads podcast, and also check out AntKeepsGaming on YouTube. Music is provided by Ben Hayden. Thanks again. Bye.